Folks at Fishman, teaching another riff rundown today. So looking forward to it, folks. So happy to be here. I'm going to be teaching Island in the Sun by Weezer. Super fun song from 2001. Have your electric guitars ready for this one today. We're going to be in standard tuning. This one's geared more towards my beginners and intermediates. So my advanced folks who are here today, let's give some encouragement to those beginners and intermediates playing this one. It's a super fun tune, really fun to play. And yeah, so folks, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit here. Let me know where you are tuning in from and your favorite sing-along song. You're at a campfire or something, give me your favorite sing-along song. So here we go. So that's the tune we're going to be learning today. We're going to be learning every single part of this. We're going to be learning the rhythm guitar. We're going to be learning the lead guitar part. We're going to be learning the solo too. So we're going to cover all of the guitar bases on this track. It is going to be so much fun. Really excited about it. So again, if you happen to have an acoustic for this, it's okay. If you got an electric, it might be a little bit easier for you folks. So grab that electric, grab that acoustic, grab that guitar. Let's have some fun. So what's happening here? The reason why I chose this song, it's a super fun one. Sounds great on this guitar. So this is my guitar with my Fishman P90s. I'm going to talk about that a little later in the show. But it has just the perfect vibe, these pickups with this song. It just seemed like the perfect fit. And it's a very Weezer style kind of guitar too. So it was just, checked all the boxes. It was great. So what we're going to do here, again, why I picked this song, inversions and triads. It's a really fun song to play, particularly with a looper, which is something I'm going to be doing later on in the show too. So you guys can see both guitar parts that are happening and how they work together and how these inversions and how triads can really help build up your playing. So not only are we going to be learning a song today, because it's the riff rundown, of course, but we're going to be going ahead, I'm going to help you with some theory type stuff and why these triads work over chords like this. It's good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do here is we're going to be playing an E minor to start off this really catchy intro, right? That's an E minor. It's an interesting way to play it, so I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to use our first three fingers here. Okay, so our first finger, place that here on the G note, 3rd fret of that E string. Okay, so go ahead and place that there. Get your second finger, place that on the 4th fret, okay, of the G string. 4th fret of the G string, that's going to be your B note, B as in boy. And your 3rd finger is going to go on the 5th fret of the B string, that is your E. So if you play those three together, it sounds like that. Okay, that's an E minor. And that's how Rivers chooses to play this E minor in the intro of this song. All right, so if we're keeping track here, the notes are G, B, E. If we're talking correctly and how to spell this E minor chord, it's E, G, B. So if we're talking in terms of music theory, how does that tie into like what the triad is? Well, in order for us to build the minor chord, we need a 1, we need a flat 3, and we need a 5. So in this case, where our first finger is, that's a G. So that's our flat 3. Because in E major, that should be a G sharp, but because we're playing in E minor, we bring that down to G. The B stays the same, that's your 5. And then you have your E here, that's your 1. And you play those together. We've got folks asking, what tuning are we in? We're in standard tuning. Standard tuning, folks. Again, we're keeping it super fun and super early 2000s, not 90s, early 2000s. The song came out in 2001. So there's your E minor. Now, the next chord that we're going to play is an A minor. So how I want you to do this, there's 2 different ways. This is how I like to play it. When I was watching Rivers do it, I saw he was using his 3rd finger. I like to use my first, but either one will work, and we'll talk through it. So get your first finger, place that across the 5th fret of the G, B, and E string. That's going to be your E minor, or your A minor chord, rather. Okay, so the notes that are in this chord, if we're talking from the bigger strings going down, your first finger is playing a C, 5th fret of the G string, okay? And then what you're going to do, right underneath it, 5th fret of the B string, there's another E, okay? And then your first finger is also hitting the A, 5th fret of the E string. Like that, okay? So now what we're going to do here is we're just going to go back and forth. I'll talk a little bit about the strumming pattern as well. So let's just go back and forth between that E minor and that A minor. So the notes with the A minor, A, C, and E, for those of you keeping track, okay? So let's just go back and forth between those 2. Just like that, okay? Nice and slow, we'll build up the speed. Again. And getting used to this switch, right? It's not like the switch we would do with regular E minor and A minor up here, where it's a little bit simpler. Again, those of you, my beginners, my intermediates, I want to push you outside of your comfort zone, playing really cool voicing chords up the neck with different chord patterns, right? It's good stuff. So here we go. Now let's do it with a little bit more speed here. Now, if you find that you're doing this, you would much rather go ahead and grab that A minor with your 3rd finger, you could. I've seen Rivers do that in a lot of the live versions of the song. You would just grab it with your 3rd finger. So it would look something like this. Okay. I find with this, notice how you really need to make sure that that 3rd finger is straight on. Right? You don't want it crooked. You don't want that. Try and keep it perpendicular with those frets, okay? Like that. Gonna get the best sounding tone. I like to use my first finger. I feel like I have a little more control in getting that really straight. And just go back and forth between those 2 chords. Okay? So again, really cool way to play regular open chords in just a new sounding way. It's good stuff. So the next 2 chords that are happening here are going to be a D major and a G major. We know these chords. The D major, we're going to keep it exactly the same. Okay, for my beginners, I'll run through it real quick here. Your first finger, place that on the 2nd fret of the G string. That's your A. Your second finger is going to go on the F sharp, located on the 2nd fret of that E string. Your 3rd finger, place that on the D note, 3rd fret of the B string. So it should sound like this. Okay, basic D chord. So now let's go through those 3 together. Okay, again. Now with first finger playing the A minor. Okay, so again, trying to get this really fluid. You can't play anything fast. You can't play slow. So take your time, folks, take your time. And again, these shapes of these inversions you can use for different chords, right? So say instead of you don't want to play an E minor, you want to play a D minor, you can just bring that back a whole step playing D, F, and A. So these shapes can work with other chords too. There's a lot to do with these. So the final chord within this chordal riff that happens at the top of Island in the Sun is going to be your first finger. It's going to be a G chord. We're going to get our first finger here, place that across the B and E string, okay, 3rd fret. So first finger across B and E string, 3rd fret. Okay. Your second finger, place that on the 4th fret of that G string. That is going to be your B note. B as in boy. Okay, so just like that. Now, when we put these three together, it's going to sound like this. I'm seeing questions on the strumming pattern. If there's palm muting happening, don't worry. I'm going to talk about it in just a sec. So here we go. From the top, I'm going to go slow, and then I'm going to go a little faster. I'm going to play it a little faster here. Now, if you'll notice, when I play it a little bit faster, we start to see these rhythmic elements of that right hand technique, right? The rhythm strumming pattern. We're hearing some little type stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. So when I go to play that D chord, notice how it's an upward stroke. I'm going to do that again in context here. Again. So I hit palm mute, sort of. I would think of it more as like a rhythmic tap. So what you want to do to get that sort of sound, it's a pick stroke, but then it is getting just dulled out by this part of my palm, okay? So let's just work on that here, nice and slowly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this so you guys can see that hand a little bit better here. So have a watch with the right hand here. Okay. Again, what makes this intro so cool and catchy, right, is the rhythmic element of it and the beautiful trebliness of this, of these triads. It's just so fun. So let's go ahead and do that again. Remember, pick stroke, and then just go ahead. Just a light tap, okay, with that heel of the hand right here, okay? And again, take your time with this. Take your time with this, okay? So here we go. 2, 3. Two, three. Upward stroke. Good, keep it moving. Good. Now let's add the G chord in to complete the riff. So 1 and 2 and nice downward, upward strokes. So when you hear that louder, kind of thud right there, right? But it's rhythmic. That's that part of the palm again. That's that part of the palm again. So again, let's just work on that. Hear that? Hear that? So again, using the pick, down, up, down, up, down, up, down with the palm. Hear the difference when we hit the palm against the strings versus the pick? Let's do that a few more times here. And notice, it sounds really rhythmic and musical, but yet, look what I'm doing here. I'm just palm muting. Or I'm just, you know, just muting the strings here with my left hand. Isn't that great? It's a good little technique there. Again, planting the seeds for you guys, giving you ideas and good insights into songs that we all love. Okay, so now let's go ahead, let's add this in again, okay? Our fun little strumming pattern here. That's mainly for the D and the G chord there towards the end of the riff. Okay, so from the top. So what we want to do here too, be mindful, because with all four of these chords, E minor, A minor, D, and G, we are only playing these three strings, the G string, B string, and E string. So be very mindful with this right hand technique, you only want to strike those bottom three strings, okay? So the higher strings, the G, B, and E. Those are the ones you really want to focus on, because if you hit any others, it could begin to sound muddy. Perhaps you don't want that droning D string or A string there. So just be mindful of that. Again, we want really, really good technique, really nice, efficient strokes, okay, with that right rhythm hand. You can definitely do it. So I see we got some questions here, and as you guys know, this riff rundown is a live Q&A too, so happy to answer a few of your questions here. We got Minneapolis in the house. Thanks for being here. Wow, we got Tel Aviv. Thank you for being here, David. Very cool. Very cool. We have Terry from New York. We got Bend, Oregon in the house. We got Boston. I love Boston. Boston's a lot of fun. Very cool. We got Pueblo, Colorado, Chicago, Australia. Thanks for tuning in, Stephen. Very, very cool. Very awesome, guys. This is great. Carlsbad, California, beautiful part of California. I go there all the time. And East Texas. This is so cool. Again, guys, let me know where you're tuning in from and your favorite sing-along song. Love having you here. Thanks again. So this is We Are Learning Island in the Sun by Weezer, 2001, tune from their sophomore album. Again, really, really fun song to play. So with those inversions, right, say you're in a secondary guitar, say there's a rhythm player and you're at a gig and you have to play lead. These are really cool ways using these inversions to really thicken up the sound. So what I'm going to do now is this. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. Obviously, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know the open, right? The open chord, open versions of these inversions that we just did. So your E minor, your A minor, you have D, and you have G. So those chords we know, I've gone over a bunch. I won't tell you where to put your fingers there. I'm sure you guys know already. So E minor, A minor, D, and G. So here's what I'm going to do now. To show you guys, I needed a looper to do this. So you guys can really hear how these two parts of this intro, right, with the inversions, and regular chords, how they can really work together. So I've already pre-recorded the little loop here. So it's going to be the open version chords of E minor, A minor, G, or D, and G. So here it is. No hands, right? So there's the rhythm guitar player. In this case, in Weezer, that would be Brian Bell, okay? So there's Brian playing that part, and here's what Rivers is doing. The part we just learned. technique. So neat stuff, right? See how they work together? We're playing the same chords, but E minor, right? The rhythm sections are a little bit lower, and as we do these inversions, they're kind of climbing a little bit higher on the neck. So again, just giving you guys ideas and how to really, really fill the space when you play. Really fill the space when you play. So we're gonna come back to this looper in a moment. So that's what's happening there. So you've got Rivers Cuomo and Brian Bell. They're the two guitar players. Rivers is doing a lot of the lead stuff, and then Brian Bell is just keeping it steady, keeping it good on the rhythm guitar, okay? So that's what's happening there. So when we talk about what's going on in the verses, guess what? Same exact chords. Same exact chords. We're going to see these same chords in the intro. We're going to see the same chords in the verse. We're going to see the same chords in the chorus too, okay? So we're really getting a lot of bang for our buck with this song. It's a really, really fun one to play. This is one of my favorite sing-alongs. This is a fun one. This is a fun one. So with the verses, okay, Brian Bell, the rhythm guitar player in Weezer, he is just doing the basic, right? Basic. Open chords, E minor, A minor, D and G, okay? So he's there. What Rivers is doing is this. Now I've seen different versions where he gets a little bit more rhythmic and other times where he does whole notes. So I encourage you guys, try both versions and see what works for you, okay? So Rivers' part would go something like this. D chord, G, E, A minor, D, now if you notice there's some other techniques happening. I'm doing the most basic power chords here, okay? I'm only using 2 fingers. I like to use my first finger and my pinky to do this. If you find that you're using your third is a bit more comfortable for you, do it, okay? So we'll go something like this. We're playing E, we're playing A, we're playing D, and we're playing G. Now, what we are doing here, we're playing power chords. So what are the notes present in power chords? It is the 1 note, our root, and it's the 5, okay? We don't have that third there going, okay, if it's third, I'm major. If it's a flat 3, I'm minor. We don't have that here, just the power chords, just the 1 and 5, okay? So here's how, when I was watching him play, here's how I noticed he was doing it. Get your first finger, okay? Open E string. First finger, place that on the 2nd fret of the A string. That's your B, so that's your 5 in E. And just like that. Now, if you notice this hand, okay? Because the stuff we're doing with the left hand is pretty simple here. But what we're gonna do, okay? This part of the hand here, right? That's connected to the pinky, this part of your hand, I want you to lay it flat. See how I have a straight pick up here at P90, which I'll be talking about later. I'm using that as my guide. I'm keeping it perpendicular, if you could see my hand here like this, okay? So I'm going, not this. I don't want open. I just want big attack, but I don't want any ringing. I don't want any sustain. Okay? So what you're doing here with this right hand, notice I'm just wiggling the thumb and the first finger. That's it. And I can still, right, alternate pick, so that top bottom. You want that hand to have that movement. Okay, so make sure it's nice and loose. I don't want it too tight. Okay, so keep the hand loose here. And we're just gonna be doing downward strokes here. But keep the hand loose enough to where if you had to alternate pick, you could. Okay, so we don't want that right hand tense. So that's how we do that E5, E and B, okay? Next, we're gonna go to this A5 chord, okay, or that A power chord. You're gonna do your first finger. Put that on the 5th fret of the E string, that is your A, your 3rd or 4th finger, okay? Place that on the 7th fret of the A string, that is your E note. just like that, okay? And again, we're still gonna do that palm technique, okay? Palm, sort of a palm mute, okay? Laying it close to see this trem here, the tremolo, keeping it close there, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. See how that sounds different than this. See what I mean? So, I mean, if you want it bigger, don't palm mute. Simple as that. So here it is palm muted. Okay, so just like that. Really, really well-intentioned right hand. Okay, and again, notice the difference of when I release and play them open. Up to you. Use your whatever inspires you creatively to play this song. Choose what you like. Choose what you like. Okay? So then now the next one here is going to be a D5. We're going to do here your first finger. Place that on the 5th fret of that A string. There's your D. There's your root. Okay? Your pinky, or 3rd finger, go ahead and put that on the 7th fret of the D string. This note here, that's your A. Okay? So it should sound like that. Okay? Just like that. So now let's go ahead and go through those. Somatic dust or let's see, reckless 5-7-5. Light palm muting, yes. Light palm muting, light palm muting. So here we go. We're gonna do our E5, we're gonna do our A5, and we're gonna do the D5, okay? So here we go. And notice with the D5 and the A5, the A5 is right on top of that D5. The D5 is right underneath A5. So the move isn't too difficult. It's pretty much, it's the same shape. Just bring everything down a string, okay? So again, these little things to help you remember, oh yeah, that's where D and A live. Oh yeah, that's where A and E live. That's where E and B live. These little clues, they help you a lot. Okay, so here we go again. Again. Okay, very good. Now we're gonna do next, we're gonna finish off this part with the G5. We're gonna do here, first finger, place that on the 3rd fret of the E string. That is your G note. Your pinky or 3rd finger, place that on the 5th fret of that A string. That note is D. So it should sound like this. Okay, let's go through all 4 of these chords. I'll go slow and then I'll play it to speed. Keeping that right hand, palm muting. Now you'll notice in between some of these chords I'm letting that E kind of ring through rhythmically if it works. I think it gives a good little layer of rhythmic melodic cushion. So up to you guys. So do a little faster. Now I'll use my 3rd finger. Cool stuff, right? So that's what's happening in the verses. Now, if that's a little too much for you, if you're like, oh, that might be a lot if I'm singing and playing this, no problem. Play your regular chords. When you're on a holiday. If it's a little easier to do it there, do it there. Okay? So totally up to you guys. But again, with this song, we're going through all the parts. We're going through all the parts. So that's what's happening there, folks. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I saw a lot of you guys saying, that's a funny looking Strat. It's not a Strat at all. In fact, it is a Fender Mustang, okay, that I have souped up with the Fishman P90s that came out recently. They're epic. I really, really love these. They sound really, really great, really, really cool. sounds. I love them. I got this guitar last week, so I'm still, you know, learning it. I've had this guitar a while and had these Fishman pickups put in, and it gives it a new voice, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So as far as the pickup voices are concerned, we've got the first position is going to be your vintage underwound, which is what I am using right now. And then your second is going to be the fat underwound. And then your third voicing is going to be your clear open style, or open single coil style type of sound. So today I'm going through neck pickup and then voice one vintage underwound. So that's what's happening. And don't worry, this guitar is going to be making a comeback in a lot of these riff rundowns. And again, I'm going to be using different configurations of all these sounds. Greg and the guys at Fishman really knocked it out of the park with these pickups. It has been such a joy learning how to, you know, learning all the tricks of the trade with these pickups. They're just awesome. Really, really cool stuff. Yeah, glad you guys are digging the tone. Yeah, the tone is super fun. And again, this is just one of many that this guitar has. So it's good times, guys. It's good times. And it just totally fit with this Weezer song. So I'm like, I have to use this guitar on this. It just sounds cool. So that's what's happening. Intro, verse. Now the chorus, guess what? Same chords, E minor, A minor, D, and G. Great. So you've got that. Right? Making sure we have our pivot points, making the chords as clear as possible, all that stuff you guys have heard me talk about already in the last 30 lessons, which is crazy. 30 lessons, can you believe it? This is the 31st. So happy to be here. So, Brian Bell is carrying that down too. Now what Rivers is doing here, we did, right, the triads at the intro. What he does here is Rivers now he's only using 2 notes per chord. The part that sounds like this. So I really suggest too, if you guys are playing this in a band, I have this guitar absolutely clean today, going through my Fender Blues Junior, and then being mic'd up to an SM57. This is absolutely clean. If you were playing this live, I think a little delay on this would sound just awesome. So think about that too when you're playing this one live with your band, okay? So here's what we're gonna do here. For this bit, pretty much going to use 2 fingers to play this, okay? So this goes along with the chord changes. We are playing to the changes right here, so I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so this is our first grip, grip 1. This is the E minor, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Your first finger, place that all the way on the 8th fret of that B string. B as in boy. This note here is G, okay? And if you need to double check, just check the G string right above it and see if it matches. If it does, we're in business. So then what you're gonna do, get your second finger, place that on the 9th fret of the G string, that is E. So this here, we're playing the 1 and we're playing the flat 3 of that E minor chord. Now, what we're gonna do when we're playing this, again, alternate picking. When you're hitting the G string, that E note, strike downward. When you are plucking the G note here on the 8th fret of that B string, I want you to pluck upward. So it'll look like this. This is gonna allow it to sound much more fluid instead of going downwards. I don't want you to do that. Alternate pick, it's gonna make your playing so much smoother. Just like that. So let's do that for a second here. And that's your E minor, your 1 or flat 3. Okay? So that's what's happening there. Now, we do that 2 times. Now we're gonna play our A minor. This time, keep the E where it is. Your second finger, keep it on that 9th fret of that G string. But what we're going to do now is we're going to get our third finger, we're going to place that on the 10th fret of that B string. That note is A. We're going to pluck it exactly the same. I want alternate picking here. Just like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. E minor, A minor, E minor, A minor. Okay, not too bad, right? Not too bad. So those are those. Now what I want you to do, in order for us to play the D chord, okay, or at least the little bit, the 2 notes of that D chord that we're going to play in this riff, I want you to get your first finger and place that across the 7th fret, 7, of the G string and the B string. So that top, so 7th fret of the G string, that's your G note, it's your root. And then right here, just underneath it, 7th fret of the B string, that's your F sharp, that's your 3rd. Just like that, okay? And same thing, alternate picking, 2 times only. Okay, so to give it a little context, let's go through those 3 again. And don't worry, I'm going back to that looper so you guys can hear how this works over it too. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's do that a few more times. I'm going to go slower here. My G chord that I play next. Here's how we do this. Put your first finger, keep it there. The only thing I want you to do is place your second finger on the 8th fret of that B string. That's your G note. So you have D here and you have G here. D, 7th fret G string, G, 8th fret B string. B as in boy. Okay? So I'm going to go through that whole section again without the looper, then I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the looper so you can see how this playing with the chords works. Keep that alternate picking going. A little faster. Okay. Now here comes the looper. So I had someone ask, can you loop with the power chords as well? Dean, I would be more than happy to. So I will loop with this part first, and then I'm going to go ahead and loop with the power chords so you see how that works. So here are those chords again, E minor, A minor, D, and G with the looper, open strings. So here we go, I'm clicking it on. No hands, okay? So there's our rhythm guitar. So now we're going to go ahead, we're in the chorus now, and now I'm going to play the riff. I'm going to wait for it to go to E minor. Here we go. There you go. Now let's go ahead and do that intro. Let's hear it work again. Here we go. Now what I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the power chords, right? Those 5 chords over a verse. So here we go. See how that all comes together? Isn't that fun? So with this looper, I highly, highly encourage you guys. So the looper that I am using here is the Ditto. It's the little one. It's like probably a little bit bigger than a pack of gum. It's tiny. I don't know, I think I paid like 80 bucks for that. It's a tiny looper. It's easy to use. It sounds great. It's true bypass, which is a win in my book. So the Ditto looper is what I'm using by TC Electronic. Again, simple, easy to use, it's great. And think about that, this is a great song to incorporate looping and getting used to how to do it, right? Again, chords are super easy. E, A minor, D, and G. Have fun with this. You guys can do it. You guys can do it, okay? So think about that. Think about that. And again, it's a super fun song to loop with. And yeah, it's just good stuff. It's good stuff. It's just so fun to play. It's a super fun song to play. So that is the intro, verse, chorus we have covered. And lucky for us, all of the chords are the same. And we're doing different inversions, different types of, notes that we were picking out of those particular chords, okay, to make the sound really full and really great. They did such a great job with this. So with that, someone is asking, can you please show how to play that last G? Absolutely. So let's go through that again real fast here. That E minor shape. First finger on the 8th fret of the B string, your middle finger the 9th fret of the G string. Okay, should sound like that. Your A minor, keep your second finger where it is, 9th fret of that G string, 3rd finger goes on the 10th fret of the B string, that's your A and E. Okay, and then what you're going to do here, your first finger, place that across the 7th fret of the G string and the B string. Okay, that's your D, D, F sharp. Then we're going to do here, keep the D note where it is, first finger, 7th fret of that G string, place your second finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and that's G. So it looks like that. There you go. All the notes, all the finger positions, there you go. That's what they sound like if we don't pick the notes out one by one. So there you go. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. All right, so let's see. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Oh my gosh, we have John. It's morning at 5 a.m. Oh, you are a trooper. Thank you for being here, John. Thank you for being here, John. All right, so we've gone through the intro, we've gone through the verse, we've gone through the chorus. So what happens after this in the song? We're gonna go ahead. That intro riff is played twice. We go into another verse, we go into another chorus, okay? So now we get here to the bridge. The bridge sounds like this. Again, simple chords, one new one we haven't seen yet, but that's all right. I'll show you how to play it. So, starts off with the D5 power chord. This time we're adding that extra octave of D along to this chord. Here's how we play it. First finger, 5th fret of that A string, there is your D note, okay? Your 3rd finger, place that on the 7th fret of the D string. That's your A, 5. Okay, and your pinky finger, place that on the 7th fret of the G string. There's your other D. So it should be D, A, D. Okay, and again, we're not going to palm mute this. Could you? Sure. It sounds a little bit more open to me. When I was watching them play it live, it seemed like it was a little more open. So, but you could palm mute it if you want. Okay, so all downward strokes here, folks. All downward strokes. Just like that. So then the next one is going to be a G5. Here's how we play this. First finger, third fret of that E string. There's your G, your third finger. Fifth fret of that A string. That's your D note. Pinky finger, place that on the fifth fret of the D string. That is your octave G. So there they are. So you're playing G, D, G. Okay? And this one sounds like this. Again, downward strokes. Getting like probably the heaviest part of the song here. So D5, G5, D5, G5, D5, G5. Downward strokes. Again, we only want to focus on the E, A, and D string when we're playing this. I don't want to hear any of the other open strings. Keep it to those three only. Okay, so that's what we want to do there. The next chords, so that's repeated twice. D5, G5, D5, G5. Then it goes to a C5. First finger, third fret of that A string. Okay, there's your C, there's your root. Your third finger, place that on the fifth fret of the G string, or the D string, which is your G note. Third finger, fifth fret, D string, pinky finger goes just underneath it, fifth fret, G string. There's your other C. So it's C, G, C. And then your G. Okay? So, again, downward strokes with that C5 too. Then you're going to go to an A5, go to the fifth fret with your first finger, fifth fret E string, there's your A. Third finger, seventh fret of that A string, there is your E note, and then pinky finger goes just underneath its seventh fret of the D string, that is your A. So A, E, A. So the whole thing sounds like this. And I'll do it a little slower here. C5, A5. Go back to your D5. Let's do that again. D5, G5, D5, G5, C5, A5, back to D5. Here it is without the commentary. And then the hip, 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 hip. So that's what happens there. So, pretty simple stuff. Super, super fun to play. Again, downward strokes. If you want to palm mute it, cool. If you don't, cool. Just be mindful to only strike the E, A, and D string when you do those power chords, okay? So, that's what's happening there, guys. Glad you guys are having fun. This is great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is just wonderful. This is just wonderful. Okay, so the favorite part of the song, love good guitar solo. So here's how it sounds. I'm gonna put the looper on it at the top so you guys hear it. We'll break it down note by note. And then folks, we've gone through the entire song. This is great. And all of the guitar parts we've gotten through in this hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this solo over, guess what? The same chords in the intro and verse and chorus. So here is the loop of those four chords, and I will hop in when that E minor shows up. So here we go. So that right there is the solo. So if I play that without the backing track so you guys can hear it. It's repeated. So I do some slides and stuff because that's what I like to do when I play. So I feel like with every solo I do, I kind of put myself in it a little bit. So feel free to make it your own too. But it's a really, really fun solo. It's the melody of the verse. It's the melody of the verse, which makes a great solo. Kurt Cobain also did this in Smells Like Teen Spirit. It makes a really great solo. And you're like, yeah, it's the verses, but it sounds so cool as a solo. They do it here too, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to add to a track. It's just such a fun song. So here's how we play this solo. Again, we're gonna break it up bit by bit. I'm gonna break it up into 4 different parts, okay? 4 different parts here. So here's what we do. First finger, place that on the 5th fret of that D string. That note is G, okay? So go ahead and play that first with your 3rd finger. Now what I want you to do, 2nd finger, place that on the 5th fret of the B string, which is your E note. Then your 3rd finger, place that on the 7th fret of the G string, that is your D. D as in dog. Give it a good little wiggle if you want. If you want to play it straight, no problem. Or a little wiggle. I like to add the little wiggle. It's good sustain. Okay, pretty cool stuff, right? So, what we're gonna do after that sustain over at the D note, go back a whole step, which brings you to C, 5th fret of the G string. Slide that back to B, 4th fret. Bring that 2nd finger back to the D note, or the C note, then back to B, 4th fret. So again, nice and slowly here. Again, I'll do this a few times. I'm going to do it slow. Again. And see, I do the wiggle again on the B note. Feel free to do that too if you want some added sustain. Again, a little faster. And I hope you're alternate picking when you're doing this. Again. Okay, that's part 1. We got 3 more parts to go. So here we go. So now, part 2 is going to sound like this. Here's how we play it. I play with my 2nd finger. Get your 2nd finger 5th fret of that D string, G note. 1st finger, place that on the 4th fret of G, that's B. Slide that back a whole step to the 2nd fret of that G string, that is your A note. Go back to the 5th fret of that D string. Go back to B, 4th fret. Or sorry, F sharp. I'll do that again nice and slowly here. Again. Alternate picking. Okay, so now let's give it a little context. Part 1, part 2 together. Here we go. Again. And I just realized when I said this solo is 4 parts, it's not. It's just repeated twice, so we really only have 2 parts. I'm looking at my chart and I'm like, wait a second, we're just repeating this again. 2 parts, that's it, it's the whole thing. We just learned the whole solo. the backing track so you guys can hear this in context with some chords, right? Also too, if you're playing this live, put a little dirt on this, little overdrive, some distortion. Here we go. Part 2. Part 1. Part 1. Part 2. There it is, folks. Isn't that cool? That's the whole solo. It's those 2 parts. Again, I chose this one particularly for my beginners, my intermediates, because it's really cool theory stuff, really cool inversion stuff, and the solo is totally 100% doable. So sit, and again, it's super rhythmic, very melodic. So really take your time. Alternate pick. If there's really one big thing I want you guys to take away from this, it's the alternate picking on these lead guitar parts. As far as the more rhythmic stuff, our hits, right? Our hits with this right hand, right? Rhythmic, using many parts of our hand, right? This part and this part, okay? When we're doing those hits. And again, it's more of a dampening. I don't want it to be a total like stop, you know? Like a little snare drum. Little snare drum. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So, folks, that's the whole tune. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play through the whole thing. I'm going to take a few minutes afterwards to answer any questions you guys have live. Again, just want to thank the folks at Fishman. These are just so much fun. These pickups are killer. I'm loving that you guys love them too. I know I sure do. They're really great. And don't worry, you're going to be seeing these P90s a lot more, because man, this has been a super fun riff rundown. This has been great. So yeah, thank you to the folks at Fishman. They're great. Again, those of you who are enjoying this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, Angela Petrilli Music, so you can get updates on when these riff rundowns are happening. I'm here every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific, here for you to help you learn how to play some tunes. It's good stuff. So again, here we go from the top. I'm gonna try and sync it with this, with this backing track. All right, or the looper. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Almost. So now, what we're gonna do, let's go to that chorus. Now, verse part. Remember, power chords. Chorus. Guitar solo. Solo or chorus. And I forgot, I recorded this a few clicks slower for you guys, so next time I'll do it in the in the beat of the song, which I believe is 116, folks. I believe the original tracking this is 116. So yeah. So as far as the bridge, here we go. Okay, so that's what's happening there. We've learned all the parts, rhythm guitar parts, lead guitar parts, and the guitar solo. We covered everything. So after that guitar solo happens, what we've got is the chorus, we've got another bridge, and then intro riff, out. And that is the song. It is so, so fun to play. I am so thrilled you guys had a great time. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. These are a blast. If you guys are enjoying these lessons, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It is going to be, we just got so much cool stuff happening. Really, really excited. We will be seeing more of this killer Mustang. Don't you worry, don't you worry. Thanks again to the folks at Fishman for making these lessons happen. It is such a joy to see all of you and to help you guys play these songs. Okay, Reckless 575. I love that at the end of every lesson you're like, please give us a hint for next week. I think I'm gonna do another electric. Definitely 90s. Definitely 90s either way, whether it's acoustic or electric. It will be a 90s song next week. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I have an idea of what I wanna do, and I'm kind of gearing more towards an electric lesson again next week. One of my favorite tunes by Pearl Jam. I will just leave it at that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna do. Again, thank you all so much. It's such a blast playing my new Mustang with the Fishman P90s for today's lesson. It was awesome. Just seemed like the perfect song to kick off with this guitar. Again, thank you all so much. Please stay safe. Make lots of music. I am wishing you much success on this tune. Tag me in your videos. Hope you guys really have a lot of fun with this when you're learning it. And again, if you're enjoying the videos, share them with a friend. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. And folks, have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Saturday.